So you start us off with the flute, kick us off. It's like the spirit of 1776. Not exactly like how Parangi plays it, but that's okay. It's all learning. You're actually not. You're not. I'm gonna have to. You're gonna have to unlearn how to play that. We're gonna.
I'm calling in my Yankee Doodle Dandy, aren't I?
That's exactly what that is. Okay, what a way to start. Perfect.
Awesome. Good to see you.
Good to see you, brother. So this is a dear brother of mine, Brandon Hawk. We met, I want to say it was probably October of last year. It seems to be that October has been an amazing month for me for meeting people, having experiences. And so it's very fitting that I met you in October.
Yeah.
And so without going too deep into the background, I'll give a little bit of that, when I record the intro. But why don't you maybe lay a foundation for your upbringing and maybe how that colored who you are today?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. I just have, I want you to know I love you deeply. And I'm just super grateful to have someone like yourself in my life. And I know that whatever's happening in my life, you're someone that I can reach out to.
Fact. Yeah.
And will be there. And not just be there physically, but has the chops to be there emotionally and spiritually. And that's rare.
Thank you.
Right?
I'm just going to receive that.
Yeah, thank you. So thank you for that and even that knowing and what you put out to the planet and just having me on today. So,
awesome.
Yeah, man. Well, my journey was one of growing up son of a bull rider, West Texas, and I grew up in just a home that I felt lots of love, but I also felt an immense amount of performance-based love. And my dad was a sports fanatic, and he did not want us to go the way of the rodeo. So he got us playing all sports, and one of the sports was tennis. And I'm the middle child, and so I found an avenue, being tennis and sports, that I could really get my approval through. My acceptance, my approval, my parents' attention. And it was a great avenue for my high energy and just even how I'm made as a person. And I, at an early age, became very successful at tennis. I was ranked number 1 in the state of Texas at the age of 10. And it just went from there. I was on the U.S. national team at 14.
Damn.
And started traveling all over the world at the age of 14 and ended up winning a round in the main draw of the U.S. Open before my senior year of high school. And at that point, I was a 6-time U.S. national champion. And I had, represented our country in the Junior Davis Cup and Junior National Team, and just had a really successful career as a tennis player at a very early age. And so I went on to play a year at University of Texas, where I was freshman All-American, and turned pro. And my dream was to always play. My dream as a little boy was to play at Wimbledon. And I had played in all the other majors, but I had not played in Wimbledon. And at the age of 20, I qualified. I went through the qualifying and I made it through. And I was the last match of the day. My doubles partner and I, last match of the day on the grounds of Wimbledon, and really accomplished a big time dream of mine. And honestly, Cal, that's where it kind of all started, in the sense of my unraveling.
Yeah.
Right, like this and what we've been going through is the great unlearning,
Yeah.
the great unlearning of fear. And at that moment, the thing that I'd worked for as a little boy, I mean, from an early age, to play at Wimbledon, that was the thing, and that was the push. I did it. We lost 8-6 in the fifth set. And I went back to my flat, in which should have been in the Wimbledon Village, which should have been a very joyous evening. It was a very painful evening. And I had to experience all of the bypass of all those years of, performing and producing at the cost of myself.
Mm-hmm.
And to think that it was going to be worth it one day.
Right.
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 And it was worth it, but in a different way.
Yeah, no,
I thought it was going to finally complete me.
Yes.
But it was the moment that undid me.
Mm.
And I had to go, oh shit, this is what I've been doing it for. And all the pain came out that night. Like, it was very intense. It was, we've done some healing journeys, you and I,
Mm-hmm.
and this was its own healing journey that night for sure. And I had to come to grips with, man, maybe not maybe the outside does not fix the inside. And
That external validation. Right.
all those years of the payoff.
Yeah.
Right. And
Seeking approval.
And some of you know the 10-second, 15-minute payoff, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what do you do after 15 minutes? Like, what do you do after
Mm-hmm.
you've done a big deal or something massive happens? And I'm not against great things happening on the physical realm,
Mm-hmm.
at all. But it's like, who are you left with after that moment? And I was really left with myself and all of the pain.
Mm-hmm.
And so Wimbledon taught me, and tennis taught me something very valuable at an early age, that the outside does not fix my insides.
Yeah. Well, I obviously looking back on it now,
Mm-hmm.
you have the ability to look at it through a different lens, and in doing so, like, what a gift for that to happen at that age, because a lot of us, it either never really happens. We're always kind of chasing the thing, and there's never that moment where we finally get it. And then we understand that it has nothing to do with that. We need to be in the right relationship with ourselves.
That's right.
And allow for as you said, the great things can happen.
Yeah.
But how are you relating to those?
right.
What is your connection to that and to yourself? And so I love,
It was a gift, right? It was such a gift.
but obviously you're not going to know it that night in the flat.
No,
for sure.
But very rarely do people, and I'm so thankful that I got the bomb of awareness, right?
Mm-hmm.
That love bomb of awareness at the age of 20. And of all of that training, that's the part I'm thankful for. A lot of it now, looking back, and what it's, but that moment of intensity and connection to.
Oh, so where were we, Brandon?
I think we were at a place where Wimbledon was a gift, and I'm able to see it as, just what a gift of experiencing awareness at such an early age. And also, just the perspective that the outside doesn't fix the inside, and that, that I want to get underneath the hood, and I want to learn about what's really going on inside of me. and I want to heal some of those places, and I want to like what's going on in me. And so that started a process of getting like really curious
Mm-hmm.
about what was happening inside of me, and motivations, you know generational energy, generational trauma, my own trauma. And so it put me on a path of learning and unlearning.
Mm.
And yeah. And at that moment, I knew I was done with tennis. I kept playing for a few more years, but I was done.
You know what?
I learned my lesson.
It's interesting is I just gifted you what I think is a great book, The Lion Tracker's Guide to Life, and one of the kind of basic tenets of that kind of getting in the inside the mind of a tracker is you never kind of put your stake in the ground of, hey, this is what I want to do, and I'm just going for it. Like Wimbledon, you had all this set
Yeah.
on top of Wimbledon
Yes.
versus what feels most alive in me, and then following those tracks one by one and staying on that path. Because when you have an aim to where you want to go, like I want to have and it's not to say you're not,
Yeah.
you're not going to have these kind of stretch goals.
That's right.
Which I would say, Wimbledon for anybody would be a stretch goal.
Yeah.
But it's that process. It really becomes about the process versus that outcome, and that outcome
For sure.
putting so much, I guess, behind the outcome or on top of that outcome leads to outcomes like this.
I think for me, when I grew up in a family where emotional pain was the enemy. And so when emotional pain is the enemy, it keeps us like the goal becomes the medicine, or the goal becomes the escape, because the present moment is too tough. It's like, well, if pain is the enemy, there's pain and pleasure in the present moment, right? And so, I know for us there was this impenetrable optimism as a family that we escaped to, so we didn't have to feel, and feel it all in the moment. And because there was a lot of pain there, especially for my parents and how they grew up, and so I know for me that when you talk about enjoying the process, it's hard to enjoy the process if pain is the enemy. And especially emotional pain, because you can't selectively open. You can't say, oh, I'm just open to joy. If you're going to open up this region, you're opening yourself to joy and delight and disappointment and all of it, right? You're opening yourself to the healing and the resolution of it, and then also just the experience of life. And so I saw that, or when you talk about the process, I know that I would put stretch goals in my life so that I wouldn't have to feel, especially emotional pain. And I know for my family, we hid out in the mental confines. We escaped into impenetrable optimism. Like, everything's good. How are you doing? Great.
Yeah.
Right? Like, good, brother.
Yeah.
Like, well, I see those eyes. I mean, like, are you? Yeah, I'm great, I think, right? Like, don't know what's going on down here.
Yeah, look what I have to be grateful for, my health and my family, and
God bless you, brother. I mean, like, whoa, it's all up here, right?
yeah.
So disconnected from down in the body. And that's been my journey, is like going down into, like, have this process that I do with my clients, and it's called down, down, up. And it's like, no, man, to go up, we've got to go down at least a couple of times. We got to get into the heart. We got to get into the belly.
What's in the belly for people to understand?
Yeah, the belly is that guilt and shame on a emotional, a lot of disappointment in the belly. But that's where, when you start to unlayer that guilt and shame and that disappointment, that's where the intuition is. Oh man, and that's where you start to hear.
And we're gonna get to, I want to pause on
Yeah.
intuition because I have some stuff from your book that you wrote that really spoke to me. So I'm gonna
Awesome.
just a little teaser for later on. We're gonna really dig deep into that. But so yeah, unpacking and really I guess unlayering, unraveling what's going on at that gut level.
Yeah.
It's really challenging.
And before I went there to the gut, you have to start with the heart.
Yeah.
Right? That place of aloneness, of getting your value and approval through your performance, and connection being based upon your performance. And I know for me that was a doozy, because the aloneness that I felt, the deep, deep aloneness that I felt, it was a bedmate. It was definitely a bedmate. It was definitely something that was certain. It was something that would always be there for me, no matter where I was traveling all over the world. I could count on my aloneness to never leave me nor forsake me. It wasn't a great bedmate, but at least it was certain. And so I had to deal with the anchor of aloneness, and especially the relational anchor of aloneness, and ask myself if I wanted a new anchor. And
because there's comfort there, right?
Hell yeah,
there's having that. I mean, I think so many of us that resonates, whether it's you're in a bad relationship.
Yeah.
You may have been in that relationship for 40 years. It's what you know. It's the shit you know.
Yeah.
And it's to let go of that. You have no anchor.
It's the blanket, right? It's the blanket. It's the binky, and it's that thing that, it's the soothing mechanism. And it wasn't a great soothing mechanism, but it was the one that I knew. And so, what do you have if you don't have any soothing mechanism, right? What do you have? Who am I without the aloneness? What am I even going to want to perform or produce if this aloneness isn't driving me? If I no longer need approval, if I no longer need acceptance from my dad or for people, out there, am I even going to want to do anything? And so it went to the core of who I am, and it went to the core of who I am and how I relate to myself and to my world. And I think that's where it starts. That's where it starts. It's where it started for me is, okay, how do you relate to you? And that was what this book's about, right? The book, you. Really, how do you truly relate to you? And mine was definitely outside in.
Well, and I want to get to the book in a moment. But from tennis, at some point you transitioned into the church.
I did.
And so tell us a little bit about what that felt like, why that transition happened, what felt natural and good about that, and how it kind of unfolded for you.
Yeah. I've always had a communication gift, and
That's a fact.
Right? Like I even playing tennis, I would speak at assemblies and do things like that. And even knowing, people would ask me, what do I want to be when I grow up? And I was like, I want to be a motivational speaker. So I knew that at an early age that I wanted to inspire people. I grew up, my parents partnered with religion to stabilize and to create stability in our home, which I am super grateful for, because they aligned to a set of values and principles. I didn't have to experience a lot of the world that they experienced. And so I'm in this part of my life, I'm extremely grateful and appreciative of my parents aligning to Christianity. And it was actually an energetic elevation for them, if that makes sense, and a context of safety. And it created a lot of stability for me and my siblings. And but the realization that, and this is for everyone out there, that my parents' ceiling doesn't have to be my ceiling, that my parents' ceiling can be my floor, and that I don't have to stop, right? If the Christian church was their was their, where it got them and created a container of safety, and was an energetic elevation, like it doesn't mean that I have to make that my home. But I didn't know that. So it was the only context I knew to do what I wanted to do. And I knew that path well. I knew where to put your church and how many songs you need to sing and how white your teeth need to be, and right, like,
Yeah.
and the temperature you need to keep the service. And I just knew it. I knew that world. And so I went down the path of leading a college service right when I retired. And all of a sudden, I look up, we start with 7 people, and now there's 500 college students coming every week to a college service that I'm doing. And the college service was built around experiencing God's love and the power of the Holy Spirit that lives within you. So those themes have been a part of my life and still are a part of my life, like God's unconditional love, the power that is in you and is you. So I'm super grateful for my Unite services. And that led to, if you can draw a lot of people, surely you need to become a senior pastor of a church at an early age. And I hope you can hear the sarcasm in that.
Yeah.
Because I was not a great pastor, not great marrier or barrier. I love to lead and to liberate. And I just didn't know I was going to liberate myself, and also like liberating myself outside of the context of the religion of my youth. And I had a few radical encounters with love, and I felt spirit, intuition, God, source give me permission, maybe even myself, right? Give me permission to just say, bang the drum of love as broad as you want. And I then started to unravel the church that I was leading. And we started to, we call them bring the white tables in.
Yeah.
And started to have real conversations rather than 4 songs and a sermon. And that was probably the demise of, that was the great deconstruction for myself. And that season was so beautiful for me because there was a school of transformation that I created that was my passion, and I was able to turn that into my coaching company.
Yeah.
And so I'm super, super grateful for it. And that experience, and the experience of, like, for a season, the great chosen Brandon, professional tennis player, comes home and can't even build a church, right? Like, my church started to dwindle, and the deconstruction of my church and myself started to happen, and I became a real joke for a season. And me being a joke was so good for me. The path of all great liberators, right? It's joke, threat, teacher. And if
unpack that for people.
Yeah, like if you're not, you look at the great teachers of the world, they've had to experience, oh, let's just take Jesus. Oh, that's Mary and Joseph's son, right? Like, what does he know? Right? He's 12 and he's teaching to the, to the Pharisees and Sadducees of the day. And it's like, that's just Mary and Joseph's son. I mean, he's just, carpenter boy. And then you start to say, shit like, the kingdom's in you, not in them, in those and they, in those whitewashed tombs, right? And so then you become a threat. So you start out as a joke, then you become a threat, and then, you emerge as teacher. Sometimes alive and sometimes not alive, right? Sure. And, Nelson Mandela, right? Joke, right? Even then put into prison. I mean, it's kind of like there is this demonization of character that starts to happen. And because you no longer are mentally agreeing with the group. And so agreement is how most community organized, mental agreement, especially in church, doctrinal agreement, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we agree on these things doctrinally. So now we can be together and we can relate and we can be safe.
Yeah.
So what happens when someone no longer agrees with the doctrine? Lack of safety, threatening the group. And so that's where the demonization starts. And that whole process for me was beautiful, because I had to come to a place of, who am I outside of everyone's approval?
Outside of all those things, all the, I love that the idea too, to take away all the quote unquote gifts to, who are you without the tennis, without
That's exactly right.
being able to stand in front of a group of people and lead them. Who are you without all of that stripped away?
Yeah, and it, in that season, and I say this, it was illegal for me to give to hide behind my gifts, even my gift of vision. Church, where are we going with all this? It was like I couldn't even give my gift of vision, because it was like, no, I'm not going to bail myself out or you out with my gift. I'm going to give you my heart and where I really am.
Mm-hmm.
And that was messy. And I know for a lot of us, we've hidden behind our gift.
Yes.
Right?
For sure.
And we've protected ourselves with our gift. And in that season especially, for me, as the deconstruction was happening, it was illegal to lead with my gift. And I had to lead with my emotional age. And I had presented myself as a 75-year-old sage, but I was really about 8 emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to lead with that part of me. And it's powerful, but it's also awkward as shit, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's awkward for me. It's awkward for others. It's messy. It's a little like, whoa, what's, yeah. And so I really had to, I talk about it in the book, like, starting to build my life from my emotional age and getting in incongruence and closing the gap from who I presented myself as to who I really was and how I really felt. And that was humbling, Cal.
Well, I think a big piece of that, correct me if I'm wrong, is, you're talking about love, and I think the perfect segue is into self-love. And something I've used recently is this idea of self-forgiveness, but I heard it stated, I think, in a better way. And it's not self-forgiveness, because that presupposes there's something to forgive, that you are conscious about some act that you did, that you need to be forgiven for, but it's really self-acceptance.
Yes.
Just accepting for who you were, who you are, the things you've done, the way you've acted, and just allowing for that. Because if we can't accept what we've done in the past, how can we move forward? I know I've had those anchors before, and probably the greatest part of my personal growth, which, unlike you, my shit didn't happen when I was 20 and 25. And like, I enjoyed a lot of quote unquote success, could hide a lot of my faults behind that success, knowingly or unknowingly, but it was something that I was doing.
Yeah.
It wasn't until within the last couple of years, 3, 4, 5 years, in different ways, starting to really deal with quote unquote failures, and really getting to a place emotionally where I let myself feel those things, rather than convince myself that, but I have so much to be grateful for, and like, just let go of all those things that I kind of medicated my ego with. And so I get that.
And success, external success is a medicator, right? Especially for type A energies. It's accepted. It's an accepted form of escapism, right? To stay at work,
big time,
like to escape and not come home. Because when you come home, it brings up a lot of feelings. And so it's easy to stay out, right? And it's easy to, quote, stay under the protection of successful provider. Doesn't he work hard?
Look at their house. They got such a nice house.
You know, I remember, I grew up in West Texas, right, where the predominant value is hard work. And I remember someone saying, man, isn't he an amazing guy? He's such a hard worker. And I was like, whoa, you just made a correlation between this guy being amazing and hard because he's a hard worker, right? Like that. I was like, hold on, big fella. I don't know if he's an amazing guy just because he may be a fucking asshole.
Yes.
And he may be escaping all of his fatherly responsibilities, and he may be emotionally absent and beating the shit out of his wife. But just because he works hard doesn't make him a great guy, right?
It still makes him a great worker. He'll get shit done.
That's right.
I grew up in a very similar small town up in Maine where that was really honored.
Yeah.
And that emotional disconnect for men in the community was prevalent.
Yeah.
And that's what
it's accepted, right?
It's accepted.
Uh-huh.
And because you're providing, and how can you do both? How can you provide? How can you get out there and get shit done? And then how can you do both of those?
Yeah.
And really I think a lot of us are brought up in that world.
That's right.
And it is celebrated.
Oh man. And that's where I'm so thankful for my upbringing, because I got to experience, my dad was a very hard worker. And I also worked hard to do what I did at an early age. So I got to experience that reality of hard work. And I'm very thankful that in this season of life, I don't have to win that battle, if that makes sense. It's not like something I have to prove anymore. And I'm even open to a new way. I'm open to something else, like maybe there's more flow that I can get into. Maybe there's, I don't have to push the boulder up the hill so hard, right? That maybe these knees that are bone on bone right now are because I overworked.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe, and that was a part of my tennis career. I worked too hard.
Mm-hmm.
And my body started to break down because of it. And so I'm starting to see even my own life that, the great principle of the law of least effort, like the least produces the most, smallest seed produces the biggest plant, and starting to really focus on potency versus just quantity, and understanding that the quantity of work was really an escape.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I want to, if for anybody listening out there, if you're hiding behind your work,
we've all done it, by the way. So
you're talking to a guy that's got the badge of honor.
This is a shame-free podcast.
Shame-free. What I want to say is just give you the freedom to say, just like total liberation. Say, hey man, awareness that may be happening, and I understand the awkwardness of when you go home or when you have white space and it's just you and you're not working and you have to deal with yourself. And I just want you, Cal and I both know, right, the awkwardness of that season, but also the beauty. And it's humbling because you do come into a place of not being the leader.
Mm-hmm. And it is super awkward, and it's uncomfortable, and it's to sit. I know as I was starting to experience that and giving myself more room, there were times when I would, the narrative, like, you need to be going and you need to be doing something. You're not doing anything. You're just sitting around.
You're wasting your potential, Cal.
All of that. And so then I would start to, I would feel that energy of like someone else's energy pushing me.
Thoughts for me, you're not capitalizing on prime earning years, right? You're like, whoa. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like you're squandering, all these thoughts. But really, I wasn't. And, if you're motivated by pressure, which I was motivated by pressure most of my life, you need a season of what? Depressure, decompression, or even depression, which is just deep rest. I needed a season. Yeah.
I want you to, I don't want you to just gloss over that. Unpack that one a little bit for people.
Yeah, so I was motivated. I always felt successful growing up, but the other feeling was I always felt pressure. I had heartburn as a little kid, just like pressure to perform and produce. And if I wanted a new motivator, I wanted to feel successful without the pressure. I wanted to feel, I wanted to be motivated and inspired by something new. And man, I had to go into a season of decompressing. And what I saw was it was just rest. My whole body, my nervous system needed rest. I needed a season just to learn to be. And my body needed a season to just chill the fuck out, right? And to learn how to not be in fight or flight.
Well, and let's try to make this practical for people out there who maybe don't have the ability to just kind of stop what they're doing. Maybe they don't have a job where there is that space where they're 9 to 5 and they have to show up every day. Like, what are some ways that they can start to feel into that? What are some of these practices? Is it meditation, or even, let's even start simpler, because for some people that's uncomfortable.
It is uncomfortable. I think just starting, for me, it started with the signpost of blame and resentment. And starting to look at blame and resentment as a signpost that you're giving beyond your capacity. Like, you have a certain capacity, you have a certain amount of fuel in the fuel tank, and you got 40 miles till it's on empty, and you're saying, hey, I'm going to go 80. Well, that doesn't work out, right? No. That just doesn't add up. And so, and then if you've constantly lived a life of overgiving and giving beyond your capacity, you start to see the people that you resent. It erodes connection. And so I started to tune into, okay, who and what do I resent? And I create that. I create disconnection because I would stay protected through my overgiving. And I talk a lot about it's true courage to give within your capacity. And it creates trust. And most of our world, we overgive to our kids and overgive to our boss or overgive. And so if you're at a 9 to 5 and you want to start tuning into yourself and what's happening inside of you and you want to start this process, just tune into the places that you feel resentment and blame and start to go, oh, giving beyond my capacity erodes connection and leads to resentment and blame and ultimately separation. Have you ever had like a business or a job that you once loved and now you like hate it, right? Or even a spouse, 53% of marriages end up in divorce, okay? You once loved that person and now you demonize that person and you're done. Why? It's because you disconnected from yourself and you started to overgive, and overgiving is a protection mechanism for someone who does not want to deal with their emotional pain and who's not willing to communicate and talk about their emotional pain and has a willingness to be vulnerable with their heart. And so it's easy for a type A to just do than it is to talk about what's really going on.
Right? Whoa. Yeah, that's so, oh man, that really hits home for me. That was, I think on the outside looking in, a lot of people saw me as successful, great husband, great dad, good dad, because I was checking a lot of those boxes. But all the while, like, doing those to be continually validated as a good husband and a good dad and a good person because I was financially successful and because I was in good shape, and putting up all the things, all the armor, to kind of to get them off and get myself
Yeah.
distracted from actually having to go inward and figure that shit out.
It's sneaky, man, it's like when you're the good guy and the good guy role is something that's protected you. And then you move from being the good guy, right? And you got to go through a season of being the asshole.
Which I went through.
Right? And that's a part of it. And
Yeah.
it's like the cross.
It fucking sucks because all the while for me,
Yeah.
just wanting to be liked and wanting to be loved. And it was like the good guy, everybody likes the good guy and he's nice and all that. And then as I was starting to go deeper into who I was and what I needed, I started to let go of showing up in that way, that over giving. And, oh, what's wrong with Cal?
Yeah.
What's going on with him? He's not doing this. He's not doing that.
Oh, he's not opening up his checkbook now.
Oh, look at that.
Right?
Cal's not drinking anymore. He's not partying.
What's
He's not, what's going on?
Yeah. Is he too good? It's all that.
Is he too good? Yeah.
So the good,
judgment.
The good guy, confuses admiration with love.
Mm-hmm.
So the good guy or the good girl would rather be admired than loved.
Yeah, and I felt that for so many years.
And the great transition is, can you let go of admiration of your peers to truly love yourself and to be loved?
Mm-hmm.
And you have to trade in being liked to being loved. And that journey, that transitional journey, is through some dislike.
It's fucking rocky.
It's through some dislike and judgment, right? And like,
but what happens? It's like you go from 50,000 followers to 40.
Yeah.
But what do you have? You have 40 that fucking love
That's
you,
right.
and you love them, and you'll show up. And, and I think in today's world, we get really caught up in. I know for me, like I wanted to be liked by everyone.
Yeah. 750 church members coming, and this thing's going somewhere, and we're taking this thing to the top, and we're going to be the next mega church. To 40 people showing up and having to close the doors. Like that shit's real.
It is real.
That's real.
And
having to let all of your staff go who are your friends.
Yeah. Damn.
Because you're pursuing deconstruction. And choosing yourself, which is also a liberation for you and for others, which is, I believe, the bravest thing that someone can do on the planet right now, is a willingness to close the gap between who they are supposed to be and where they really are. And here's what I want you to know. We've experienced, it comes at a high cost. And it comes at a high cost. Like, of armoring an ego. But what I found is, first of all, I found myself. I found love. And from that place, I then started to choose my wife. Like I choose you. I choose to love you. I started to choose my path. Not from programming, but because this is like what I want to do and this is what I'm called to do. And I actually had love to give my children that was beyond performance-based love. Like I could actually connect to my deep oldest son, who's a deep old soul, and I could go there and connect in with him because I had to go there inside of me. And so that to me is what I gained. I gained my love for myself, respect for myself, and connection with the people that I truly want to receive my love the greatest. And all the rest is just like, okay. It's like what you said, it's just following the path, and the organism is unfolding, and keep saying yes to the energy, and right, like just keep, okay, where's the organism taking us? But that's what I gained, Cal, was like, man, that was like, who does that? And I can say, man, I did it. Like, I put my gift behind my back. I played with my heart. It got really awkward and messy, and still gets awkward and messy. but I feel love. Let me say this: I feel.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel, and now I feel life. Right? Like I feel life. I feel inside of me. And I think that was one of the greatest gifts, is just being able to feel. Like I can feel you, and I can feel me, and I can feel connected, and I don't just have to sit there and listen to my wife talk and like just take it, but like I can feel with her. Yeah, man, that just life is, it just feels like that's the win. And I'm still in the journey, just like you. I'm still going through my shit and my stuff and unlearning and unraveling. And but there was a big part of getting my value through other people's opinion that I really had to deal with.
I heard a recent, there's the FOMO.
Yeah.
There's a recent one that I just saw, a buddy of mine posted about, called FOPO, fear of other people's opinion.
Oh, FOPO.
Right?
Oh, I love
it's
that.
a great
That's
transition
so
from
good.
FOMO, because once you move on from FOMO, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, that's a thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a little bit lower order, but other people's opinion, that's a trickier one.
Oh man, it was so rooted deep, not in my actual tissues of my body. Right? The issues are in the tissues. And it was it's in my body. Like, oh, I'm about to disappoint this person. Like I feel it. Like, oh, don't do that. That's not safe. All that programming coming up going, man, no, don't do that. No, you want to stay safe. Like overgive, perform, right? Say the right thing.
Be a hard worker.
Don't charge them money, because if you bring money into it, they're not going to like you. Those, I mean, it's like, oh, don't disappoint. And yeah, literally the energy is in the body. And I love to talk about emotions, right? Energies in motion. That's what emotions are. And they're just energies that are in motion, that are in your body. And most of us, I don't want to speak for the world, but I'll speak for myself. I was not trained in the art of energy, and especially energy in motion, called my emotions. And emotions equal meaning and quality of life. And if you don't know how to deal with your energies in motion inside of your body, the quality of life that you will have, no matter how successful externally, will be very low. It will be very low. And I know that from experience. I know that from my clients that I work with that are uber successful, and they feel not successful because of an inability to process their emotional body. And I feel like in this season of life on the planet, that's the game. People that are connected into emotional awareness and have an ability to really connect into the energy that's happening inside of them, and also have the ability to talk about it in open dialogue and communication and having courageous conversations. I mediate these executive teams, which is so fun to actually talk about what they're really feeling, to get a boardroom of executives together and we start talking about what they tell their wives, right? About each other.
Yeah.
Right? And start to really, no, we're going to go here and we're going to talk about how you feel. And now starting to see the science behind emotional energy at a business level, 25% to the bottom line, minimum emotional energy. So if you want to see a 25% gain immediately, you start to insert this emotional conversation. So the biggest catalyst for any business is emotional energy. It's also could be the most volatile.
Sure.
Right? But and we're seeing that. I'm seeing that with the companies that I work with, just the power of a container for emotional, or what we call courageous conversations.
Mm.
And the power that has within it turns an organization into an organism where it's living, breathing, and the people become more important than the rules. And that's when it starts to get fun, is when the actual people become more important than the systems and the structures that are in place.
Well, let's talk about that then, because there were three things, particularly under the U brand, that I wanted to talk about: is U Coach, U Church, and then U Book.
Yeah.
So, in any order that you'd like to talk, maybe let's talk about U Coach.
Yeah. I have a U Coach program, which is a part. It's one of the legs of what I do, where I help coaches and healers and teachers create abundant coaching practices. And that's a passion I have, to help people that have a desire to, for the transformational arts, that they can not just be a broke Reiki master, right, or a broke coach, but that they can really prosper as a facilitator of healing and perspective, or whatever their genius is. And so that's the U Coach program. I have the just my coaching, where I coach executives on a personal level, and then my team and athletes and entertainers. That part of what I do, you can see the smile on my face, right?
Totally.
It's to get into those arenas, to see leaders go to a place of connection with themselves, and then the connection with their team. It's like even the connection with their spouse and kids. I probably get off more on that than even the connection with their team.
Yeah.
But to see them move into a realm of moving from being a manager to being a true heart-centered leader. Because a lot of these leaders trade in, they get into control and they start to manage out of fear, but they're really called to be a leader. But if you close off your heart, you can't be a leader, you turn into a manager.
So it feels like you're in a lot of ways, whether it's a male or female at the head of these companies, there's a lot of, I guess, masculine qualities that drive that position.
That's right.
So you're opening up this whole feminine side,
right.
The heart,
Bringing
the
balance.
lack of control. And it's really giving permission in a lot of ways to go there and experience that.
And it's an awesome way to put it. I work with alphas, right, that are used to driving the masculine, whether male or female, and the feminine component. I call it the soft topics of the feminine. Do you love yourself? How are you feeling? All of those things that we talk about produce hard results. And if any company has hit a plateau, if your sales team has hit a plateau, if you've hit a plateau, it's because of the imbalance, usually the imbalance with the feminine side. And the moment you start to bring balance inside of yourself, that's where what happens. Small decrease at the first. It's a little scary. That's always what happens, right? There's a little, what have I done? Oh, that guy used to depend on just left, right? He doesn't like this. He didn't like this touchy-feely stuff.
Yeah.
So he left. Oh, what are we going to do? Bob's gone. Right? Oh, shit. This doesn't work. Right?
Yes.
And the people that stay the course after Bob leaves, oh, man. And Susie may leave too.
Yeah.
But, man, the bad apple spoils the bunch, right? It's gone. And I don't even want to demonize it, but you get what I'm saying. That energy's not there. There's synergy. There's cohesion. And it starts to take off, and it gets real. The returns get real. One of my clients, and it's on my website. Brandon came in and brought this to us, and they were able to land a $125 million deal with a global brand, and net worth went up $200 million. And it was because of these courageous conversations. And they were at a place where they were trying to sabotage because they couldn't talk about this. And so they were at that moment where either going to sabotage this thing.
And so, how are they doing it? Is it like finger pointing? Is it like,
we call them third-party conversations. You erode a culture through third-party conversations when you can't talk about what's really going on inside of you. And so you've got this culture that's eroding because of lack of trust. And then it becomes positioning, and then it becomes power over. Biggest stick wins. And then what happens when the leader that has the biggest stick is disconnected from themselves, they start to bring the whole structure down. And, if you're a VC and you're investing into companies and putting a lot of money into companies, I will just be bold enough to say the best thing that you can do is hire a world-class life coach for the CEO or that's running your company. Because after a couple of years, they start to bring the company down through emotional disconnection. And so we call it investment insurance for these firms as well. You see it with Conor McGregor. What did he, who was right next to him? Tony.
Right, Tony
right?
Robbins. Yeah.
Tony's been there with him through this process. You could see it in his energy, right? And how he held Cowboy, like there was a
He was so different
there
this time
There was
around.
a different energy, right? And it was because he said no. And I think LeBron inspired him. LeBron has a big support team on an emotional level. He said, LeBron's spending $1.5 million minimum a year on his physical and emotional health. And it inspired Conor to do the same. And so he brought in Tony. And it's just like if you are an athlete of life and you're a high achiever and you don't have a coach, that's silly, right? It's like, what are you thinking? Like Kobe Bryant didn't have Roger Federer, right? I'm around Andy Roddick. They don't have less coaches. They have more coaches in their life. They have more trainers, more support. So trying to do it alone, like being alone at the top, doesn't have to happen anymore.
And it's been programmed. Like we look around and we think everyone is doing it by themselves. They can manage it, whether it's the CEO,
that's right,
or it's the mom.
Exactly.
The mom who's got 5 kids, and your wife is feeling, oh no, I can't do it. I've only got 1 kid, and it's all this judgment that's going around.
And that's your choice now. You don't have to have it. You don't have to do it that way. If you're an executive, there are programs out there. There are people out there. It's like, come to an understanding that because you give a lot, you need a lot. That's actually very mature in knowing that you need a lot of support. And that's not a bad thing. That's actually a good thing that you understand that. The people that understand that they're needy are actually not needy. They're not emotional vampires. The ones that don't surrender to their neediness, they become emotional vampires. They end up hiring their friends, and they end up creating so much bulk within their companies because of their emotional gap. You've seen companies that have so much bulk. Why? It's to make up for the emotional gap. If you feel alone, what are you going to do? You're going to hire all kinds of people and create all kinds of bulk to try to close that gap. I come into these companies and they've hired all their friends. Well, why have they hired their friends? Because they've hired the wrong people because they don't know how to bring friendship to themselves. They don't know how to deal with their own aloneness. And bulk within companies is rampant, and it's an emotional issue.
I never heard of it that way.
And it's beautiful to start to see it.
Yeah.
That when someone starts to connect with themselves, they get really efficient. And their mechanism gets really efficient. Right? They're like, oh, fuck. Yeah, that person's just there so I have someone to talk to. I'm paying that person $250,000 as an executive just so that I have someone to talk to. Well, I can pay a great life coach, half of that or a third of that, and get way more of what I really want out of the relationship. And so I'm passionate about that.
Yeah.
I'm passionate about raising up coaches. I'm passionate about coaching, and I'm passionate about energy in our body and understanding the energy that in motion that's in our body called emotions. and seeing the power that it has on these organisms or organizations, and seeing that, you think about your family that you grew up with, how much of it was emotional, right? You think about your work, think about when you were in Chicago, right? How much of it was emotional?
Yeah.
How much of it was, emotional escape, or emotional, I needed an external emotional stimulant, right?
Yeah.
Because I didn't know how to create that within myself. Man, I'm passionate about that and understanding that world within me and within my clients, and starting to see the power of the soft leading to really hard, massive results.
Perfect transition, massive
Yeah.
results.
Yeah. Oh, there it is.
A guide
Hello.
to deeper connection, a lifestyle of ease, and massive results. Okay, so this is Brandon's book. I have some notes here of I'm going to read aloud some passages that really hit home for me, and I just want you to
Okay.
speak to them. This is actually in two parts. This is page 47 and page 63. This is an upgrading consciousness. We can also observe the problem with the reputation route from a generational perspective. Let's take 55 to 75-year-olds. Many of them have only taken one path, which is head down, performing, working hard, even if it feels bad. Do whatever it takes, grind it out. What did they accumulate? They accumulated money along with lots of disconnection. Those around them only wanted what they could get on a physical level. Which again, I mean, this is going to seem like I preempted all these before, because we've talked about a lot of this stuff, but I love it's the doing, it's the hard worker, it's being held up on that pedestal because you did that and you provided in that way. And to be fair, as challenging as our programming was growing up, theirs was like they did better than the generation before them. So that's what they had to work with, but that's where they're at. And that's the generation.
And I don't want to
demonize
that group.
No.
Okay. But here, there is a, like we said, we don't have to stop there. We can have the physical and the emotional now. Like, you don't have to just be a good provider. And when you die, your family like, oh, I'm thankful he left us money. No. That's missing a huge chunk of it. Like, I want you to experience the emotional fulfillment that comes with success. The emotional connection that comes with, man, like at your funeral, they're actually going to miss you because they felt you. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, and they're going to remember you because they felt your energy, not just because you left them some physical things. And this emotional component connected to the physical component. I mean, can you imagine that? Like, to have both, right? I'm so thankful I never worried about a roof over my head. I'm thankful for that part. Right. Food, water, shelter, right? Thank you. But I didn't have the emotional component, the deep emotional connection. I had to create that within myself and then start to create it within my family. Mm-hmm. And I want to be relevant to my kids on an emotional level. And it was hard to come to the fact that my dad, who I love and who I've spent a lot of time with, and he was not relevant to me emotionally. That's not fucking good enough for me.
No, you know what? This actually brings up something that I've been reading recently, and I got a group of guys that we get together and we'll do a Zoom call once a week or once every couple of weeks, and we're reading The Most Important Thing by Adyashanti. And in one of the chapters, he talks about the difference between resume virtues and eulogy virtues. And I think we spend so much of our time, so unfortunately, some of us, that's all we do is spend our time on these resume virtues. He's a hard worker. He's a great provider. The things that look good to get you hired.
Yeah.
But like and you were talking about like
So
when
good,
you
Cal.
pass on,
Yeah.
what do you want people to talk about? That you were a hard worker? Do you want someone up there at the, pulpit to say, John, he really showed up at work on time. He was a real hard worker,
Yeah.
or he was always there for his kids in a way that he allowed them to be who they were.
Oh man.
He supported them. Whatever it is for
That's
everybody
so clear,
has
isn't it?
but it like just to and I as a practical matter, I recommend all the listeners to sit down
Yeah.
with those two ideas, and you can have both.
And I guess I could guarantee you, and this is what we're seeing in companies, right? And within the people that are running these companies, if you choose eulogy virtues, which is probably your highest self,
It has to be.
right? It's your highest, most connected self.
What's your legacy?
What happens is resume goes through the roof. It takes care of itself. And it's really a surefire thing that your resume is going to be great. I mean, it's like it's going, and if it's not like here, at least it's honest,
Yes.
right? It's honest. It's not a bunch of bullshit.
Mm-mm.
And I want to die honest, right? I want to die congruent, integrous, aligned. Yeah. And that's me living in that space of continuing to be emotionally connected, which creates a dad, a leader, a husband, a business owner that's, as he ages, he becomes even more relevant, right? Like think about as you age, you become emotionally relevant to your children because they feel even more openness inside of you rather than rigidity.
And this is, I think, one of the things that our society is lacking now, and I've heard it referred to by my friend Kyle Kingsbury before, but we're lacking elders.
Yeah.
We have a lot of olders. Right?
I love that.
It's just there's a difference between the elders and the olders, and I think the elders are the ones that are connected.
There's very few elders or older people as they age that become emotionally expansive. Yeah. And I'm telling you, the ones that do become emotionally expansive as they age, they will be the ones celebrated. Because we're entering the information age is here. Like you got all the information. It's a wisdom age. And that's gnosis, right? That's like epignosis, experiential wisdom, like embodiment. And the ones that have stepped into energy and motion in their body, embodiment, they will emerge as the leaders of a generation. And not the ones with the most info. The parent that gives all the kid all the info and
There's so
they can get that on YouTube. I mean,
listen, there's so much of it though, and unfortunately, not to make this about our school system, but it's all about memorizing.
Yes,
and so again, not to bring up Adyashanti again, but I will unapologetically because there's a lot of great wisdom there. He talks about direct experience.
Yes,
and those elders have the wisdom of direct experience. They may have learned about something somewhere else, but unless they've actually experienced it, they're not going to talk shit about it.
Yeah.
And so I think that is where I found my greatest teachings has been through going through it.
Yes.
And now I can speak about it. I can have my own truth about it.
That is so powerful, Cal, because I experienced this just this week with my daughter. I'll make it real. Mm-hmm. She homeschools, and she asked me to go to the jump around trampoline park. And she said, "Dad, will you take me?" And I felt like that, like work today, kind of like energy.
Who hasn't felt that?
And I went past it, and I went inside of myself, and I'm like, okay, not resume, but eulogy. Yes. Right? Like I felt it in my body. I'm like, what do I really want here? And my body, like, no, fuck yeah, you want to be with your daughter. She's 10. right? Like you want to be with her. You want her to feel you and experience you and not have to go out and try to get that some other way, right? In before it's time, or you get what I'm like I want her.
Fuck yeah, I get exactly what you're saying, because I've been down that
Yes.
road, and for so long was very self-important. No, I have to do what I'm doing, and
Yes.
I'll be right there, and I would never be right there.
That's right. So can you be there?
Yeah.
And man, I said, Georgia, I'm going to jump with you wholeheartedly for an hour. And I'm like, I put my phone up, which I want like that. I just put it down and up, and
With the exception of the awesome video I saw, maybe that was from Jeannie's phone.
I can tell you it was awesome, because a lot of my life with social media is with my business is online. And so Jenny came in and took all that.
That's awesome.
Without me even having to do, like, it was like it happened for me, rather than me having to do it myself and push it.
Right.
And I got to experience Georgia, and then also got to, Jenny captured something that was probably what I would want. I want to capture that. And I love those, and so as I pressed into Georgia's heart, my heart was also being taken care of on the back end. And that was such a beautiful experience. And here's what happened. I had to step into play. I had to step into not my role, but I had to step into a different, like, in my body, and get in my body and get into me. And it was so beautiful, but it was hard. Like it was hard to break the momentum.
Yeah. Well, it's
the
again,
resume momentum.
What this whole podcast is it's this unlearn.
Yes.
And
that was a practical unlearning in that day that I had to go through to say yes.
And it's hard, and it's right. You have to literally, it's not
I wish I could tell everyone. I just teach this stuff, right? I wish I could say that in that moment it was easy and it was like, no, but I still had to like go there and go, okay, and come down and go, okay, I really want this.
Yeah. And so what happens there? You build a rep.
That's exactly
and another
right.
rep. And so eventually this thing starts to open up, and we start to be led by that.
That's right.
But it's hard.
Yeah.
There's a big armoring over that heart that's protective.
I can feel it right now just talking about it. I can feel like, oh man, like go jump around in the middle of the day. Like I got stuff to do.
I'm so important.
That's right.
All right. So I want to skip to another one here.
Let me say this.
Yeah.
I found out on my way into the jump around after making that decision. And if you believe in energy like I do, I understand that when you surrender to something and say, yes or no to something, something else releases and it comes your way, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had a lady call me that is an executive that just said, hey, Brandon, I want to continue the service that we were providing, that she stopped for a while, and she said, I want to continue with you. And she came to me.
Yeah.
Right as I'm walking in, I get that voice note.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean,
you and I subscribe to that.
Six-figure deal. I mean, we're talking about that's awesome.
And for some of the listeners, the energy piece, just stick with the podcast. You'll start to learn more about it as we roll out more episodes. But it's definitely, as you open yourself up to other things being a reason for manifestation. I'll just leave it at that. I don't want to go too deep down that rabbit hole, but that's awesome. Okay, so my wife and I can't agree on where to go for dinner, much less where we go when we die. If we have to agree on every issue to be in connection, there's some massive conformity happening and some massive powerlessness taking place too. And I fucking love that, because I married my best friend and I did this and we're perfect together. We agree. It's such bullshit. I don't care who it is.
Yeah.
Your friend, your wife, some website you like to go to. You can't, a political, your president. you're not going to agree with
Yeah.
everything. And you know what? You're not going to disagree with everything either. And I think in the today's world that we're in, and again, I don't want to make this about politics, but so many people, I didn't vote for Trump, but if you just say he's 100% bad, you're just being ignorant. Like, there's got to be some things he's done well that, like, come on.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to the relationship. I love that idea that, you know, conformity is different than coming together and
unity is to me, there's agreement-based connection, which produces conformity, and then there's true unity, which unity is a celebration of diversity. And true unity is the celebration that we think differently and that we are autonomous individuals, yet connected, right? We're autonomous yet connected. And that to me is where we're moving to, or let me just say this, where I'm moving to as a person, and the organisms and the organizations that I work with are moving from agreement-based to unity-based. And you look at the ones that are really successful right now, they're the ones that, and I'm not just saying successful, like they're culturally relevant. They have an understanding of we need people that think differently. And it is not a threat, but it is actually a help. But here's the problem. I'll just say right? We learn to stay safe through agreement, mental and doctrinal agreement. And so what happens if you disagree with your dad?
Ooh.
Right?
Yeah.
No, Dad, Fox News isn't the answer, right? Or whatever, whatever it is. Or no, Dad,
Yeah, I didn't know.
Jesus may not be the only way, right? Or your boss. Hey, boss, I disagree with that. Oh, shit, you disagreed with me in front of everyone? How dare you? So what happens? It threatens us. There's a threat, right? Because we're connected through that mental agreement, and it sends fight or flight response to us and says, boop, 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 boop. He's a threat, right? To your protection.
And he's the chief, and the chief has the ability to kick you out of the tribe, that's fucking scary.
And that's scary because, we are tribal beings, and so to face the reality that you may have to go a season on your own is so power on the transitional journey from agreement-based connection, doctrinal agreement, boss agreement, spouses. We don't disagree on anything. Someone tells me that, I look at them like, you're fucked up.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of issues that you're in denial over. And there's a lot under the hood that you're unwilling to look at.
Oh yeah. There's a lot just packed down there. Like I'm just dealing with my shit. You're dealing with your shit. And we're keeping it in our own pile. And that's it.
We believe, we have to believe the same thing as a church. We all believe the same. You all believe the same thing. That's fucked up.
Yeah.
Like I said, my wife and I can't even agree on where to go to dinner.
Yeah.
And you have to believe everything the same. Who to vote for, where you go when you die, is there a rapture or not, what this text meant. And you got to believe all the same just to stay safe.
Yeah. And
I've got to believe everything that this, this politician, I've got to believe everything.
All of it.
All of it. And if not, if I disagree, then I'm the enemy.
Yeah. And furthermore, if you, on the outside, people are going to hold you, oh, you voted for him, look what he did. You're like, well, what the fuck? I didn't vote for all. Right. I mean, you got to pick one of them.
That's right.
And that's where it gets.
So that's where it had to come down to me. That's what this book, it's you. It's not them. It's not Trump. It's not this. It's not the church. It's not your parent. It's you. You can't help in what's happened to you, but now you can help what's happening through you. And it's about you. And are you going to live as mental agreement as your connection point, or are you going to move down into a higher way of living, which is your heart? And And are you going to step into this area and live from a heart-centered place? Or are you going to live from right or wrong? And I love Rumi, right? I'll meet you in that field that's beyond right and wrong. That's where I want to meet people in this season. I want to meet them in the field of love, understanding, connection, openness, and let's have conversations in there. And let's find out where the synergy is, and let's play there. Not, no, that's right, that's wrong.
Well, and that's the binary world. We were talking about this before we got on, and I had recently posted something, this notion of maybe.
Yeah.
Like there's gradients for all this stuff, and nothing is really all right or all wrong. And if we can step out of that, let go of the need to be right, because that's a big one that drives that, right? I mean,
it's kept us safe.
Yes.
Right? Rightness has kept us safe.
And it's like,
this is good, this is bad. And we're like, you can feel it. It gets tight, right? Your body gets tight. This is right. This is good.
It's all so
good.
Judgy,
it's
and
bad.
It's the shackles.
Yeah.
Surrendering into that is such a it's a breath of fresh
that's a
air.
layer though, isn't it? It's a layer.
Okay, let's keep going with this. I love this. I know we're running short on time, so I'm going to hit a quick. Here, this one. I love this one. Everyone says they want to align with core values of ease, but they delay doing so until retirement. To align with ease now, you'll have to first allow a season of rest so that your body can literally change over. Your whole chemical makeup is built around denying your feelings and taking manic action.
Oh, man.
Your body needs to turn over like an ocean turns over or the snake sheds its skin. I mean, we've talked about this a lot, but that is just so powerful for me. It's that manic action. We talked about this months ago.
Ooh.
It just drives so much, it can drive so much of our behavior.
Yeah.
Well-intentioned, we think we're supposed to, but it's not coming from that place of intuition, which I'm going to get to next.
Manic action is just a scared little boy, scared little girl, and they've found that doing gives them a measure of protection. But when at the end of the day, manic action takers get left out. They're the ones that end up alone.
Mm-hmm.
And they did a lot of shit and a lot of running around and a lot of doing and but they are the ones that get left out. And inspired action is far greater, accomplishes more than manic action. And manic action has been an accepted form of emotional protection.
Yes.
And
very widely accepted.
In a performance-based culture, it's very accepted. But it is, it ruins people.
Well, and then
families.
Well, what can help heal that? Well, how about this? If you've been around someone who lives in pressure, everything means so much, the deal, the money. But people who live from rest have a baseline of trust. They feel if you do the deal, you do the deal. If you don't, you don't. But they are good either way. And I'm going to continue in the same path. Page 143. When you live by the heart, you know you're too valuable to constantly have to hustle. This is a part I really love. This isn't about entitlement. It's about trust. You're going to wait for the bigger, more aligned opportunity emerge. You are willing to hold the line and hold the value. That is a powerful place to be. When you can do from a place that, what can you do from that place that, good Lord, what can you do from a place of that feeling of integrity? There we go. It really sets the tone for your life. You win every time when you take a stand for the heart. And so that's, I think, something that I personally have really felt into in the last year and a half, is just being patient. And I know it might be easy to say, well, you don't have to go to work or whatever.
Yeah.
Patience, we can all be patient.
All be patient.
You can still be doing your job, but having your kind of vision wide open for what is calling you. What instead of head down, getting shit done, take a step back.
Yeah. I mean, it's to go forward and to take big leaps, you have to go backwards. Like, it's just the law of rhythm that governs our universe. To go what? It's pulling the rubber band back, right? You to for it to go that way, it's got to go that way. And are you okay with going backwards for a little bit to go forwards in a really big time way? And that takes someone who's willing to connect into their heart and leave the life of hustle. And
that hustle's intoxicating,
man,
isn't it?
Because it covers up the orphaned heart, the heart that feels lack. And you can, hustle so I can cover that shit up and I don't have to feel it. But man, you become a little bitch.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
like, that's what you become, a less potent version of yourself. You start to prostitute your gifts for value, and you don't hold the line for what you want, what your heart really wants, and you erode trust in your relationships and in your community and in your organization when you create a hustle environment, because the hustle becomes more important than the heart. The doing becomes more important than the being. And that means the people will be bypassed for the performance every time and the production. It's not a safe environment to be in. Those environments are fading. Those ways of operating are fading. They're holding on, trying to hold on hard, but they're the old industrial model, right? I feel like that way is coming to an end. And I can only speak for myself, right?
For sure. And I think that's important for again, back to direct experience. Like what can we speak on? Are the things that we have experienced?
Yeah.
And with that in mind, I got a great piece of advice last summer when I was in South Africa, and I was on retreat there, and I was trying to figure out like how I was going to go forward in the podcast and the newsletter and this and that. And the question was simply like, what do you really enjoy doing? I said, well, I really enjoy doing the podcast. It's fun. I get to sit down with someone, connect with them. And the newsletter, I've been trying to write it and it's not coming it's really like, I feel like I can write, but it's just not happening. So just don't do the newsletter.
That's right. Yeah.
Do what comes easiest. And so you talk about it here. But genius alignment works the opposite way. When we live from this new mindset, we believe that what comes easiest demands the most value. For most people, genius alignment feels wrong. If you were taught for your whole life that what is most difficult is most valuable, hence he's a hard worker. He has to grind, and look at how he's
plowing in the fields, man.
Fuck. So if that's how you were raised, what do you do with genius when it comes the easiest? And I love that. It's like we're not taught that.
No.
But those things that come easiest, I really do believe they are our gifts. So like,
some of the leaders I work with, they don't think it's enough just to do their genius. That's why they get into the management. That's why they get into the other stuff that they're really a 7 at. And they're a learned 7, right? Like, that's even hard. Like, geez, I'm a learned 7. And they trade in being a unlearned or just natural 10, which is energy, charisma, just kind-heartedness, right? Like their ability to communicate, casting vision. Some of those things, I see a lot of these leaders that I get to redirect them back to what is easiest for themselves, but that comes to a place, well, that's not enough. And I'm like, it's plenty.
That's it.
It's plenty. You doing that other shit, you're actually sabotaging the mechanism when you get into management. Because there's people that are put on the planet that are 10 as managers, right? There's people that actually have the gift of management, the genius of management. And so I work with a lot of leaders, visionary leaders, and guiding them up into their leading through vision, leading through connection. You would think that would be right. Living from ease is not easy. Does that make sense? It's like
Totally.
like when you've lived from hard, retraining your life to a life of ease and flow at first is like,
I'm not doing enough.
Yeah, I'm not doing enough. So what do I do? Am I just
production-
going to sit here, Brandon? Am I just going to sit here, Brandon? Is that what I'm going to do? Yeah, sit here and listen. How about listen to what's going on inside of you? And how about listen and trying to sit here for a second and listen to your body and listen to your intuition and start to ask questions. Like, get clear about yourself and your company. Well, that's not enough. They're not going to see that I'm working. Okay.
That one.
Right?
That one. FaceTime.
That's right.
Showing up.
No.
Yeah.
Go on a retreat and get clear. Be with your coach.
Yeah.
Then come deposit the goods.
Yeah.
Then let them work it out. Right? That's enough. That's enough. And what it does is it creates a culture of trust because you're not in over control. You're not doing shit that you're bad at. Respect level is high because when that person gets into their zone of competence, not their zone of genius, people start to they're not as good at it. And they start to draw and attract people that are 7s, not 10s. And so it has a whole downward spiral for their company and their life.
Yeah, because they've set that bar.
They've set the bar at 7.
7.
Hard work, do what you're competent at, not what you're a genius at. And it's going to be tough. More time is what's required, not less time. Hard, heavy 7s.
Yeah.
So you got hard, heavy 7s. And you wonder why going to work is hard and heavy and a little above average. Yeah. Not great. Like not fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And so if you want to create an awesome work environment, start with yourself, start aligning to your genius, and less is more, and the least produces the most, and you will start to see you'll feel awkward. And that's why you probably in this season,
sign.
That's right.
That's the first sign.
That's why you
right.
need someone guiding you through it. Okay. Whoever it is, you need a guide to help you. We all do.
Yeah.
Okay. We all do. But know that the awkwardness is a signpost that you're on the right track. Yeah. My hips are tight. And when I get into working my hips, it feels awkward. And when my trainer is working my hips out, it feels like, what's going on here? And this feels vulnerable. And it's right by my, it's vulnerable getting in there. And it's, but man, the result, loose, flexibility, right? It's just the way I walk, back doesn't hurt, right? It's just like, alignment.
Yeah,
boom.
Alignment.
And that's what I want for myself and everyone watching is to know that full alignment, emotions, the internal and the external. And yeah.
Awesome. Okay. You've got to roll.
I've got to roll.
Because you have, and so, you've got like a couple minutes here. Yep. So in your own words, sum this up. We got you church later today.
Yeah, which is wild that it's got a passion play of mine.
Love it.
The church thing's kind of coming back around and
reimagined
without the what would we call it? The separation dogma. More open, universal, but still with some of the same beautiful parts of church, music, community, perspective, right?
And I love that. It's not like because you're not with the church anymore that it's all bad. Like people, shit is not binary.
No.
Like pull the things that speak to you.
That's right.
And that's what you've done.
Eat the fish, spit out the bones.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm taking, I'm taking eat the meat, spit out the bones. Right. So I'm taking the meat that really connected in that season, and the stuff that didn't, I don't have to bring it in. So that's something I'm getting to do. That's just like fun for me.
and easy.
and it's
Hello,
happening
fuck.
and it's like exploding and
That's
it's so
not on
cool.
brand. I
and
don't
it's
know
not,
what is.
yeah. So it's easy. And then my coaching part where I'm coaching executives, entertainers, and athletes and high achievers. Yeah, we're open for business. That's what I say. We're always open for we're open to receive. We're, for those people that are ready to go on a journey of reconnection with themselves and becoming a heart-centered leader within their corporations. Man, so open for that. And if you're a coach, healer, teacher, trainer, I'm someone that's been able to make a really good living as a coach.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand some of the nuance behind creating that. And I have a passion to help agents of transformation prosper. So those are the ways that you can partner. Also have the U Collective where I'm going into prisons, which I'm passionate about.
Oh shit,
We go into the Taylor County Juvenile Detention Center next week, where we get to just partner with kids that just didn't have the same upbringing, right? And didn't have, have gone some emotional trauma, and from that emotional trauma has created some addiction and some intense behavior and not knowing what to do with their anger. And man, I get to go and help heal. We call it heal the violence within. And that starts next week. So people can partner if you have a desire to partner with the U Collective and help spread the message of healing to maybe some people that just can't pay coaching prices, right?
That's right.
We have that as well. And I'm super I'm pumped about I'm pumped about that.
That's special. Well, tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, Instagram. Find me on Facebook, Instagram. Those are the two places. Also, brandonhawk.com and hawkconsulting.co. But if you go onto my social,
and we'll link to all this in the show notes.
It'll lead the way. And if you are a teacher, healer, coach, trainer, or if you're someone like myself who was a pastor that didn't even know the coaching world existed, or someone that has a gift of perspective and you're looking to create a coaching company, I do start my U Coach February 15th, and that will fill up, and it's been very potent.
Awesome. And at the very least, go get his book.
Yeah, go get my book.
It's on Amazon. Is that the best place to get?
Yeah, go to Amazon.
We'll link to that in the show notes too.
And
it's great.
Yeah.
It's an easy read out there, folks.
Yeah, come on now.
Yeah, it's good shit. I love you, brother. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Austin.
Yeah, it feels good to be back.
All right, you want to close us out with a musical? Would this be the outro?
This is really good for me.
All right, Parangi, close your ears.
Hold on. No, this is really good for me because I don't like to do stuff that I'm not good at.
Those three fingers there.
I feel this is so good fucking it all up.
Not the pinky.
Not the pinky. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. Right. Maybe that's where you fucked it up before. And just do them one at a time.
Okay.
There you go. You try one more time. Here. Yeah. Let me show them. Show how it's done.
Say, look, I can play my hands. So Cal obviously has a little bit more tribal energy that he's bringing to us here, and a little bit more you can feel it. I am tapping into my Declaration of Independence energy with the flute.
That's right.
And bringing that into the game. So I love you, dude.
All right, I love you, brother. Thanks for listening, y'all.